All right, what's up, everyone? This is a new episode of Sports Harder coming at you live on this Saturday morning edition of our Sports Harder podcast. I am your host, Maddie Lukewarm Ice, and my newly awoken co-host is Chris, the Gorilla Binder.
What's up?
See, now I could say that because everybody could see you yawning. They maybe didn't hear it on the audio, but they can definitely see it on the video. So
Yep.
that way they know we're not lying. It definitely is Saturday morning.
Yeah, and it's early Saturday morning for me. Oh,
That's very true. You wanted to do it even earlier though, so I was the one that was like, maybe we should push it back a little bit. So I wanted to get a little bit more sleep at least.
I appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, we have a fun episode today. If you didn't catch the first part, at least when it comes to the video portion, my brother-in-law, Brian Hilton, who did the logo for us, joined us for the first 30 minutes of the podcast. So go check it out on YouTube and watch the first part. This will be the second part to the episode. We're at episode number 97. We're getting closer and closer to 100. I can't believe it. Like slowly but surely, almost there. So real excited about being able to do our 100th episode. Gotta think of something wild and crazy to do. I don't know. Maybe have like a million guests come on or something like that. Or who could we convince just because it's our 100th episode to come on the show? Like who can we like finagle into it? Maybe someone from the Jazz, since they're playing so well right now. You can just go and like let them know, hey, we got our 100th episode coming up for our sports podcast. You guys, like, one of you guys needs to like come on.
Yeah, and we just still only get like 10 views.
Probably, yeah.
Hey, we love those 10 people.
Exactly. Yeah, we love the 10 listeners that we normally get. It was crazy the amount of views that we got for the Super Bowl. We got like 43 views on YouTube for our Super Bowl one or something like that. So I mean, the Super Bowl really hit big on YouTube, at least. On the regular actual audio listens, we still had the same number that we usually get, but on YouTube we got a big hit during the Super Bowl, so that was cool. Well, let's start off with what's going down, and the most recent thing that has happened, and I talked about it with my brother-in-law Brian a little bit, but I want to get your perspective, and then I'll kind of go over my perspective on it. So Carson Wentz of the Philadelphia Eagles being traded to the Indianapolis Colts for a second and a third round pick, one for this year, and then a conditional second round pick for next year. And I, pointed it out to talk about the subject. Jared Goff, going number one, Carson Wentz going number two in the draft the year they got drafted, both of them leading their teams to a Super Bowl. Technically, neither of them won a Super Bowl for their team because Carson Wentz wasn't playing in the Super Bowl. Jared Goff lost to the Patriots. Have you ever seen something like this? Like, did you think something like that would happen with both of them leading their teams to Super Bowls that they're now playing for other teams,
Honestly, no, because I really never thought Jared Goff was good enough to lead a team to a Super Bowl. Yeah. Same with Carson Wentz. Like, I'm like, kid from North Dakota State. Like, and then I saw him play in the NFL. I was like, holy crap, this kid's actually really good. He's got some talent, but then he gets hurt all the time.
Yeah.
So he's the Derrick Rose of the NFL. So, but no, seeing both of them lead to a Super Bowl, I honestly, I don't think that's anything that's ever happened in the history of the NFL. Like, the number 1 and 2 picks in one draft have both led their team to a Super Bowl.
And then now they're being traded to other teams. So basically saying, oh, well, thank you for getting us to Super Bowl. Here, go play for somebody else now. And they both, excuse me, at least Jared Goff with, getting his big contract once he led them to the Super Bowl. I don't think Carson Wentz got a big contract, did he? Once they went to the Super Bowl, I can't remember if he
He's
got.
getting $30 million a year.
Oh, okay, so yeah, he did get paid pretty well then.
Yeah.
After that.
I think it was 5 years, $150 million.
Okay, so. Well, with that, the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade, with the number one picks that were involved in making that trade happen, I know it's mainly because Jared Goff had such a baggage contract that, a team would have to take with that. But as soon as that trade happened, I figured, okay, every other trade for a quarterback, that's kind of setting the standard. And especially since, Carson Wentz technically won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, I figured that you got to at least get at least one first round pick out of it. I feel like the Eagles basically got nothing for him, and the Colts got an amazing deal out of this. Like you said, Carson Wentz does have trouble staying healthy, so that it could be a key factor. But in my opinion, I feel like the Eagles are spiraling out of control and they're kind of going downhill in their trajectory. I told Brian on the podcast last night, I said, I feel more confident about how the Detroit Lions are heading more so than the Eagles. And that's saying something, because Detroit's never been that good at management and getting talent to come in and stuff like that. So I mean, with the Eagles making this move and the Colts making this move, let's hear your side of it, winners, losers, how you feel the future is for both teams with making this trade.
Well, really quick, I'm going to step on your little talk about the Detroit Lions, because like they're going to lose Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones, their top two receivers. Like, they don't want to play for the Lions next year.
We did talk about that a little bit with Brian as well. If he felt like they were going to go, especially to maybe the Rams, because they were saying they wanted to play with Matthew Stafford. And Brian did say that he felt like they will leave, but not necessarily to the Rams, just because, the Rams already have, pretty decent wide receiver core. And so it would be hard to add one of those kind of top two guys onto a team that already has.
I could see Marvin Jones going there, just because he's not like a super top tier. He's not going to be super expensive. He's probably going to be around the $7-8 million a year. But like Kenny Golladay is probably going to be about $9 to $10 million a year. So I don't see him going to the Rams. I see him going somewhere else. So he could probably end up like, I would think, like Indianapolis or even Buffalo. Could see Golladay going to either of those teams. But as far as the Eagles go, yeah, I feel like the Eagles are spiraling pretty bad. Like, I have a couple of friends who are Eagles fans, and we were talking about it on Thursday in our bowling league. And they were happy with Carson Wentz going just because of the contract. Like, it opens up a lot of cap space for him. But at the same time, they're like, why are we getting rid of our best player? Like, it makes no sense. Jalen Hurts is not that good. And like, that was part of the conversation we were having. I told him, I was like, yeah, I don't think Jalen Hurts is, I honestly don't think he's fully NFL ready. Like, yeah, he had some good plays, but he doesn't know how to lead a team yet. He's not at that point. But I think if the Colts make it to the playoffs and that conditional second round pick becomes a first round pick, then the Eagles won. The Eagles actually got pretty good draft capital back. But if the Colts don't make the playoffs and all they get is that second round pick, and they got a third and a second round pick for a number 2 quarterback that led the team to winning seasons, led the team to back-to-back NFC East championships, NFC East titles, then no, they lost. They lost at 100%. Carson Wentz is actually a really good quarterback if he stays healthy.
Yeah, that's the key. And the Colts keep on feeling like they're a quarterback away from being able to get to where they need to be. And they thought they had that with Philip Rivers, and obviously that didn't play out, like they wanted. Now, I don't know if that's because Philip Rivers, is up there in age and, he decided to retire. And so maybe having a new, young gun, young gunslinger, can maybe revive that, that offense and what they need, because they have a pretty decent defense right now. But they basically are, in the mix in the AFC, but the AFC is so fully loaded right now, because the Bills now coming out, no, well, not coming out of nowhere. Everyone kind of thought that they would do well with having Tom Brady gone from the Patriots, but excuse me, you still have like the Ravens or the Dolphins, the Chiefs, like
Titans.
the Titans. Yeah, you have all these teams in the AFC that are pretty stacked that you have to worry about. You don't have teams like an NFC East division where you're just like, oh yeah, like all these guys. It's not that difficult, not that hard. So um
We can win 6 games and get to the playoffs.
yeah, right. So that's why I'm just like, well, I have confidence that the Colts could, potentially win the division, or at least compete with the Titans. But that's still going to be difficult for them to get over the hump. And of course, the Chiefs are still there, and the Chiefs, want to come back. They're not going to roll over and play dead just because they lost the Super Bowl. Um, so yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I feel like the Eagles could potentially go and get a quarterback in the draft this year. Even with them drafting Jalen Hurts last year, I feel like with them having such a higher pick this year, that they could go and get a quarterback and have a quarterback battle between the rookie and Jalen Hurts, who basically is still a rookie. It would only be his second year. So I think the Eagles probably go down that route, especially with all the top tier quarterbacks that are coming out of the draft this year. Out of nowhere, talking about the draft, moving on to that, Zach Wilson from BYU, the quarterback, is jumping up. His stock is rising for him as a quarterback getting drafted by a team. A lot of people in their mock drafts for like ESPN and stuff like that, they have him as the number 2 quarterback. So
yeah, going above Justin Fields.
Yeah, going above Justin Fields, which I was really surprised, because like everyone had Justin Fields up there, especially with him making it to the national championship game. So and how that he played against Clemson. But then Trevor Lawrence is still at number 1 as of right now, just because of how his pro day went, which I think is always funny when a pro day happens and then they say, oh, he solidified his spot at getting taken number 1, and it's just like they're running around in shorts, not having any pressure in their face, not having anybody come at them, and making throws that they make at practice all the time. So of course they're gonna look good. Like if they look bad in that, then obviously, yeah, you wouldn't want to take them. But if you're a number 1 overall pick, I don't think you're going to be bad at throwing a ball in shorts and a t-shirt.
See, that's one thing that I actually liked about Johnny Manziel. With his pro day, he came out in full pads, like helmet pads and everything. Like I thought that was cool. It showed, look, I could do this still in my pads. Like it doesn't have to be shorts. You know? But I wanted to jump back to the Colts really quick. I know we're kind of transitioning off of that, but the Colts, since Andrew Luck retired in 2018, have had 3 years. Carson Wentz will be their 4th starting quarterback.
Oh yeah, they've definitely hopped around on quarterbacks a lot since he left, and I know they tried to get him to come back as well. They talked about him trying to unretire and then like come back. now that he's like healthy and stuff, but I just don't feel like he's going to do it.
Probably not. But yeah, it's funny that they're just chasing that quarterback, you know. I mean, they have the defense, honestly. They were, for the majority of the year, they were the number one defense. But then the Rams came out of nowhere, like, well, not really coming out of nowhere because everybody knows how good their defense is. But the Rams just blew up in like the last quarter of the season, you know, and they took over the number one defensive spot and bumped the Colts down. I think the Colts actually bumped down to like number 3 because the Bucks stepped up too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. So it'll be interesting with that to see, you know, the pieces that go with that. And talking about the Colts and their division and everything, we did talk. Well, I talked about with Brian, you know, JJ Watt and his continuing of, you know, trying to figure out where he's going to land. There have been talks that, you know, the Tennessee Titans are in the running to get JJ Watt as well, because obviously, you know, he wants to be on a team that's a contender. And, you know, Brian made a good point of, you know, him wanting to go to a team that actually like needs him on defense and that he would be the main guy and he would be able to help, you know, like turn things around. And the Tennessee Titans their defense is exactly that. Because I mean, I can't really think of too many, you know, people on their defense that are like, you know, big names that are, you know, helping them out. I know they went and got Clowney, you know, but if you know they had JJ, that would basically be a reunion, him and Clowney when they played together with the Texans. So I guess like with that, I almost feel like the Titans or the Packers is kind of like the best situation for him to be able to win right now. I feel like if he went to the Steelers, it would just be more so nostalgic of just playing with his brothers and wanting to play with his brothers. I mean, do you think it's more so him wanting to win right now, or you know, more just wanting to play and have fun? I know, excuse me, there have been rumors as well, and I talked about with Brian that, you know, Tom Brady has been trying to convince him to come to the Bucks, you know, because obviously Tom Brady wants to, you know, excuse me, win another title. So, I mean, do you think he could even jump on that bandwagon and just be like, well, it's Tom Brady, you know, he's won a title, let me go and win another one, you know, for them with that?
You know, the Bucks were already an established team, but then Brady comes in, and I'm not saying that Brady did it, but they turned into LeBron James. Because then Gronk came back, and then Antonio Brown, and then Leonard Fournette. I'm like, come on, guys, you're stacking this team. Like, nobody's going to beat you. And now they want to add JJ Watt to that with Ndamukong Suh. Like, no. Honestly, I think JJ Watt is going to chase his title. I don't think he's going to go play with his brothers. I know that that's something that he would like to go play with his brothers, but he wants his title. He's like, I've been playing on a perennial wild card team my entire career. So yeah. I think he goes to the Packers. It may be like a short-term deal, like 3 years. That way he can like retire afterwards, but he'll probably go back to he'll probably play one season with his brothers, and then he'll bounce back to the Texans just to retire. And he'll retire a Texan. But I honestly think he's going to end up in Green Bay on like a 2 to 3 year contract and try to win a title with Green Bay. And I mean, I could see Green Bay actually winning a title in the next 2 to 3 years. They have the team to do it. And they've already cleared some cap space by getting rid of one of their starting tackles, and then they got rid of Christian Kirksey as well. And Christian Kirksey was on a 3 year, $36 million contract, so $12 million a year. So they cleared $12 million right there off the defense. So they could pay JJ Watt. And I think
Yeah.
they're actually pursuing him. They're like, come play. Like, I really, really think that's where he's going to end up.
Fair enough. I forgot to mention before, we did have a comment on our podcast page when the Carson Wentz deal happened, and it was Matt Klein, who is a Washington football team fan, and he said in his comment on the post about Wentz, he said they're way over the new low cap numbers. So I don't know if he's talking about the Eagles or if he's talking about the Colts with that.
The Eagles were over the cap. That was part of why they traded him, to clear some cap space. But they weren't way over. They were like $6 million over.
So yeah, I mean, cap is always the problem when it comes to the NFL, trying to manage cap space and different things like that.
And the NFL doesn't have the things like the NBA and Major League Baseball do, where it's like they have the luxury tax for going over the cap. The NFL's like, no, you hit the cap. Like, you cannot be over the cap.
Fair enough. Well, I guess there's one last thing that I think we could do to have some fun with the NFL. But before I do that, is there anything else that, like, topics in the NFL that you think we should cover, that you've been thinking about or that you've been wanting to talk about since you've been on the show? Because I know you've missed last week's episode and stuff like that. So
yeah. So one of the funny things about the Colts getting Carson Wentz, he was their second choice. So they actually reached out to Mike Mayock and John Gruden to inquire for Derek Carr, because they wanted Derek Carr.
Yeah.
And Mike Mayock was like, he's not available. Like, they actually, like, the Colts, Frank Reich came out and was like, yeah, we reached out. And they were very firm about, he's not available.
That's weird. I thought for sure that it was something that they were wanting to do. The Raiders, at least.
Nope, they want to trade Mariota because he's like 13 million or something like that, or 11 million towards the cap. So they're trying to trade him.
Yeah, but I thought they were trying to move on from Carr as well. So just with
terrible rumors.
With how bad the fans have been, not necessarily you, but I know you talk about Raiders fans blaming him in the past, and that it's dumb and it's not all on him. So even so, I thought for sure, just with how big the fan base tries to push things, sometimes in the NFL, they sometimes control ownership, because ownership wants people to buy tickets, and so if the fans are upset and they're not going to buy tickets, then sometimes the fans can be a lot more influential than not. We've seen rookie quarterbacks go in too soon, because at stadiums fans are chanting to put the rookie quarterback in. Every week they're just in the stadium chanting to put the rookie in, and so and then the owner tells the coach, all right, they are wanting him in, and they are the ones that buy the tickets, so put him in. And sometimes they put him in too soon and he's not ready. So
yeah. So with Derek Carr, why would you move off of a top 10 quarterback to get somebody that's going to be worse? The only way that they move off of Derek Carr is if they solidify a deal to get Deshaun Watson. That's it. That is the only way that happens. Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback. Yes, he makes mistakes. What quarterback doesn't? Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions in the NFC Championship and still won somehow. What quarterback doesn't make mistakes? Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback. He is a team leader. The thing that people don't look at is, in his entire career, the top defense he's had was ranked 22nd in the NFL. And that was in 2016 when he led them to the playoffs. And then he broke his leg and couldn't play in the playoffs. That was a year that we probably could have gone pretty deep in the playoffs. But we ended up, because he broke his leg, and then the next game, our second string quarterback got hurt. We put in a rookie third string quarterback, Connor Cook, in to start in the playoffs. The guy had never taken a snap with the first team. So
yeah,
Derek Carr is like, he's not the problem. And I hate that all of the blame goes on the quarterback.
yeah.
But on the flip side, I hate that the quarterback gets all of the credit when a team wins. Like Tom Brady did not win the Super Bowl. Their defense won that Super Bowl 100%. Like they shut the Chiefs down. They shut everybody down. They locked down Tyreek Hill. They locked down Travis Kelce. They did what no other team has ever been able to do against the Chiefs. They locked them down. They scored 9 points. The highest scoring offense in the past 3 years scored 9 points in the Super Bowl. 3 field goals. Freaking terrible. No, it was a field goal and then a touchdown with a missed extra point is what it was. But the defense really is what wins championships.
Yeah.
And the Raiders have had the worst, like in the bottom 10 defense, Derek Carr's entire career. Give him the Bucs defense, give him the Colts defense. He's going to win Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Because he's that good of a quarterback. So, no, Mayock isn't getting off of Derek Carr unless he can get someone like Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So speaking of Deshaun Watson, this last thing that I want to do for NFL, I just want to have like a big crystal ball here, and we're going to be doing some witchcraft and predicting and looking into the future. If we had our own glass balls, I want to see how we feel about certain quarterbacks and what their future holds going forward. So, I'll give you the easy one to start off with. So, and we just mentioned him, Deshaun Watson. So with this big crystal ball that you have in front of you, Chris, what is Deshaun Watson's future? Is he going to be suiting up as a Texan, or is he going to be suiting up with another team by the time the season starts?
I don't think I think the Texans are too stubborn. They're not going to trade him. They're not going to allow the trade to go through. But Deshaun Watson won't play.
Oh, he won't play. All right.
He'll take the $18 million hit for missing the whole season. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to. He does not want to be there. So I think he'll be traded next year. I think they'll finally see that it's real and be like, okay, bye. We'll get rid of you. But I don't see him playing this year.
Alrighty. If I had to look into my crystal ball for that, I don't know. I would have to almost agree. I feel like him sitting out though is going to be too detrimental to his career going forward. Excuse me. We've seen what sitting out does for like a Le'Veon Bell. Excuse me. I know running back and quarterback are two different positions, but I just feel like Le'Veon kind of showed, if you take a year off, that kind of hurts your career and you're just not in the same routine and the same habits as you were when you're, playing regularly. So, all right. Next contestant in our crystal ball here, we're going to go to the NFC East again, and we're going to go to the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm sure your mom has maybe had a lot to say about this, being a Cowboys fan. I haven't heard anything from Boo Boo or David, but Dak Prescott. So if we were looking into our crystal ball, Chris, what do we see for the future of Dak Prescott going forward?
Dak Prescott leaves the Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
I could see Dak Prescott, team that needs a quarterback. Not sure where he would go. Maybe San Francisco.
Ah, you took that from me. That's what I was going to say. You stole my answer.
Because Jerry Jones doesn't want to pay him what he thinks he's worth.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I this is the one time that I've ever agreed with Jerry Jones.
Oh, wow.
Dak Prescott is not Patrick Mahomes money.
Yeah.
Or Deshaun. He's not even Deshaun Watson money. Just saying it. Like I could see him getting about a $35 million a year contract, but there's no way he gets 37 to 40 million. And he wants 40 million. Like, no. San Francisco, however, I think they'll pay him because they're trying to get off Jimmy G's contract.
I love it. Well, you stole my answer there. I was going to say that he would probably move on to the 49ers. So it kind of stole my thunder there, but that's all right. That's all right. We're just on the same wavelength. We're thinking on the same page. So with that, then we move on to the 49ers. Jimmy G, and looking into his future. Obviously, if maybe Dak is going in that direction, where does Jimmy G fall in his going forward in the future?
The Patriots.
That's what I was gonna say too. Golly, Ned. Man.
He falls back over to the Patriots. He knows Bill Belichick's system. Bill Belichick needs a quarterback that he can trust. And, he was the highest draft pick that Bill Belichick ever took for a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he was like second or third round. But it was the highest pick that he'd ever taken for a quarterback. I honestly, that's where I see him going, is back to the Patriots to play in that Bill Belichick system.
Oh man, all right, I like it. That's what I was gonna say as well. I feel like he's gonna go back to where he's comfortable and a team that actually wants him. I think the only reason why he didn't stay was because of the whole Tom Brady thing in New England, and everyone in the organization wanted Tom Brady to retire as a Patriot. So. And obviously it didn't go down that route. So they're going to try to correct that mistake and go maybe try to get Jimmy G back. Alrighty, I like that. Well, to end it, we're going to end with two older quarterbacks and see what their future holds. So if you were looking into the crystal ball of Big Ben, what would you see his future holding? As a retirement, or is he trying to make a go of it again?
I think the Steelers are going to give him an option and say either retire or we're going to cut you, because we don't want to pay you how much your contract is, because I think he's upwards of like 30 million, 32 million a year, something like that. So I think the Steelers are going to give him that option, say, hey, retire or we're cutting you.
Yeah,
but I don't see him playing for the Steelers for another year.
Alrighty. Yeah, I think if the Steelers were smart, they would definitely go down that route. I don't feel like Big Ben is the answer. I mean, yeah, they went 11-0 last year, but I mean, who were they really playing, and did Big Ben really make it where they got to 11-0? I don't think so. So
it was the defense.
Yeah,
it was all defense.
Yeah, so I feel like they definitely need to go that route. I agree with you. I see Big Ben probably retiring, or at least having to be forced to retire if that's the case. I mean, of course, when those situations happen, no one ever comes out and says, well, they forced me to retire. So it's one of those things where they kind of just bow out gracefully and do it that way. So I could see Big Ben doing that as well. Now the last quarterback, because I don't think he ever officially said anything as far as I can remember. You could correct me if I'm wrong. But if we were looking into the crystal ball for Drew Brees, I know a lot of people said that, the way he was acting, that he was going to retire, but I don't think he ever officially came out and made a statement that he was going to retire.
He's never actually said it. I think he's kind of weighing the options, discussing with his family. I honestly feel Drew Brees will come back for one more year. He'll play one more year for the Saints. And then no matter what, he'll hang them up. No matter how they go. Like, He wants to try to win another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But what player doesn't? Once you've got one, you want more. It's like tattoos. You get one, you want more, and then you end up looking like me, like freaking sleeved and full back covered, and yeah.
Yeah.
No, I could see him coming back for one more year, and the Saints actually making a push. Kind of beefing up their defense even more, beefing up their offense even more, even though their offense is kind of a juggernaut. But I see him coming back one more year. They'll make it to the NFC Championship, and they'll lose, and then he'll retire.
Alrighty. Yeah. I mean, I feel like he could come back again just to try to make a push. I mean, they beat the Bucks twice in the regular season, but then couldn't beat them in the playoffs. So, I don't know if he still feels I still don't know if he feels like that, he has some type of chance, to beat Tom, in the playoffs, and try to go down that route. But I feel like the Saints are still missing pieces. I don't know what it is, because it seems like they're, a pretty complete, good team. But for some odd reason, they just either get unlucky or they just don't have the pieces. I mean, this past season against the Bucks in the playoffs, they didn't really have any excuses. There weren't any real bad calls that I can remember, and they didn't have any unlucky plays like the Music City Miracle, not Music City Miracle, the Minnesota Miracle. So, so I don't know what it would take for them to get over the hump, but I feel like, yeah, he'll probably still try to get another try. Maybe try to pass Tom Brady for the touchdown record, since they kept on going back and forth for it. But to be honest, I don't think he'll beat Tom, because Tom will still keep playing even after he retires. So
I can tell you what they need. They need a stronger wide receiver core, because every team knows he's going after Michael Thomas, because they have Traquan Smith, who is fast but not a reliable target. And then they have Emmanuel Sanders, who's old. And then they have Jared Cook as their tight end.
yeah.
So they have Michael Thomas and Jared Cook. They need to beef up their receivers. I could see Kenny Golladay going there. They drop or even Marvin Jones, like one of the two going there. But I think they drop Emmanuel Sanders. I think they cut him, and they bring in a younger, faster receiver like a Kenny Golladay or a Marvin Jones, or Juju Smith-Schuster, and have Juju next to Michael Thomas. Like, who are you going to cover at that point?
Right. It's like pick your poison type of thing.
Yeah, give him some strong receiving tools to be able to carry them to that next level. At least give him a shot,
Yeah. I feel like the Packers kind of need to do that for Aaron Rodgers as well. Give him someone other than Devontae Adams, because, obviously him and Devontae helped him win another MVP, his third MVP. But I feel like if they want to get over the hump as well, they need someone other than Devontae Adams to throw to. So, and Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees are known for making average wide receivers look great, just because Drew Brees is known, like, almost every game that he plays in, the announcers are always just like, that's the 8th different receiver he's thrown it to, or like, that's the 9th person he's thrown to, or whatever it may be. So they know how to spread the ball around, and they're going to throw it to whoever's open, and they're going to make you open by the way they throw it. But it would just be nice to not have to try so hard for those guys. Like, if they didn't have to try so hard, and they had someone that could, make it look even easier than what they already make it look. So
yeah, like you give either of them the Bucks team, the Bucks receiving core, and they're gonna win a Super Bowl. Like Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller, Chris Godwin. Then you have Gronk, Cameron Brayton, OJ Howard as tight ends. Like, That is a ridiculous receiving core.
Yeah, and a lot of their receivers were injured for the playoffs and the Super Bowl for the Bucks. They didn't have everyone at 100%. OJ Howard was out for the whole season, so
Yeah.
And Gronk came in, and I feel like Gronk didn't play really that good like the whole season, but then he shows up to the Super Bowl and scores 2 touchdowns. It's just like that's so typical of like him and Tom Brady. I feel like it's just
Right.
like oh yeah, like don't pour it on until it's the biggest game, So that's when they're gonna pull out their secret weapon and pull out the stops for it. But all right, well, I guess the next thing to look forward to, of course, will be the NFL draft. I might have to owe you a pop for Trevor Lawrence going number 1. We'll see what happens. Maybe Zach Wilson will do me a favor and but bump off Trevor Lawrence. I doubt it, but it would help me out a lot. But it'll be interesting. A lot of offensive weapons are going to go in the top 10. So a lot of the NFL mock drafts have like 3 or 4 quarterbacks going in the top 10, and then a bunch of wide receivers. I know there's a couple offensive linemen that are going to go top 5 as well. So of course, you never know until the draft actually happens, because crazy things always happen in the draft. It seems like, especially teams who are known for doing dumb stuff, not necessarily dumb, but I guess trying to pick the what I call the sexy pick. Jerry Jones always somehow goes in and picks the sexy pick instead of picking what's needed. So you never know.
Like when he took CeeDee Lamb, when he's got a stacked receiving core, like you didn't need CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. It's like, why not go on defense? Why not pick a defensive player?
Right. Now, here's a thought. The Eagles traded off Carson Wentz. They have the number 7 pick. Do they get Justin Fields or Zach Wilson?
I think Zach Wilson would go way before number 6. I could see Fields dropping to that pick. Yeah. I could definitely see them picking him up for sure.
But I think that was partially why they were okay with getting rid of Wentz for the draft capital that they got for him, was because they have the number 7 pick, so they know they're going to get a quarterback. They're going to get one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the draft, whether it's Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, or Mac, whatever the hell his name is from Alabama.
I'll be surprised as hell if Alabama quarterback works out in the NFL, because it doesn't seem like it ever does.
Right.
So
sneeze.
Don't do it. No.
Pineapple.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty, cool. Well, moving on to NBA action. That is gonna kind of be the focal point. That and March Madness coming up here soon. We're gonna do our March Madness bracket challenge like we always do. And we'll always do it the same way that we do every year, because I feel like it's fun doing it that way, where you have to beat me and Chris, the experts, to be able to win the prize. So if you're able to beat both of us in the March Madness bracket, then you're able to get a prize. I feel like we can kind of transfer over those tombstone pictures as a prize for March Madness. I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, for sure.
So, since no one else picked the Bucks to win the Super Bowl other than Boo Boo, so we'll have that for March Madness. You got to beat the experts. You got to beat me and Chris to be able to win the prize. March Madness.
I just want to throw out really quick.
Yeah.
Boo Boo, I'm sorry I haven't mailed that out yet. I've been crazy busy. I will get that mailed out this week for you, though. Okay.
I'm sure he's probably in no hurry, but But awesome. March Madness will be crazy this year because there's a lot of college teams that are always like number one throughout the years. I don't know if it's because of it's COVID related or what's going on, but like a team like Duke and like Kentucky and North Carolina, they're not even in the top tiers, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see for the let me look at it here real quick to see who who's in the top. Let's see. I wonder if I can. It won't let me filter it. It won't let me filter
Number
it
one,
by.
Number
What's up?
one is Gonzaga. Number one's Gonzaga.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, Baylor. Number three, Michigan. Number four, Ohio State. And number five, Illinois. So one of the top echelon type teams. Let's see. You got Villanova at 10. They're usually pretty good. Kansas is at 23. North Carolina, Kentucky are not even in the top 25.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. San Diego State is ranked higher than North Carolina and Kentucky.
I can't even find where it has like the top 25. I just see where it has like all the conferences for some odd reason.
All I did was I searched college basketball rankings and it pulled up the AP top 25.
Oh.
But Gonzaga is 21-0 this year. There's two undefeated teams, Gonzaga and Baylor. Baylor's 17-0, Gonzaga's 21-0.
Gosh. But it's just so crazy that like, you know, the normal I guess they call them like blue bloods, right? So like Duke and North Carolina and Kentucky, like none of them are like at the top like they usually are.
Yeah, they're not even in the top 25. That's just crazy.
Yeah. So that's why I think this year will be interesting for March Madness. Like I said, I don't know if it's because it's COVID stuff or it's just, you know, they didn't have good recruiting. I don't know, but you know, none of those top tier teams are doing well at all like they usually are. It'd be interesting if they even make the March Madness bracket, to be honest.
Right.
So but we'll keep an eye on that and we'll let everyone know the details once it gets closer to, you know, starting the tournament, starting the bracket, and we'll let everyone know what's going on with that. So over to NBA action. So of course we were talking about at the beginning of the show in the Western Conference, the Utah Jazz, man, they are on fire right now. I know they lost to the Clippers last night, but they had before that they had won 19 of their last 20 games, and that's just insane. You know, the chemistry and the what they have going on right now. They're, you know, the number one seed in the West at 24-6. The
They're
Lakers,
number one in the entire NBA.
Yeah, they're number one overall, just in general. Yeah, you are correct. And the Lakers in the West at number two at 22-8, and then the Clippers at 22-9. Man, did Shaquille O'Neal do them a favor or something with calling Mitchell out? Like,
dude, he lit a fire because since then, every member of the team has gone off. Like you had Jordan Clarkson had a 42-point game. You had Rudy Gobert against who the hell was it? Oh, who was it that they just played? Not the Clippers, the game before that, when he went off for like 23 points and 21 rebounds. Like they have just blown up. I really think Shaq lit a fire under the entire team and said, look, you're going to call one dude of our team out. We're going to show you how good of a team we really are.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's been crazy how they've come onto the scene and they've definitely made a name for themselves. Do I think that they need the number one seed to prove themselves or to prove anything? No. Once it comes to playoff time, if they can start winning in the playoffs and win series, that's when they can finally, put up or shut up and be able to finally prove someone like Shaquille O'Neal, hey, like you were wrong about us. I don't think winning the number one seed in the West is going to really prove anything.
Nope.
When it comes to basketball, seeding isn't as important as like NFL. Like I feel like NFL is more important for that because usually the number one seed gets a bye. And the NBA they don't have buys. So the number one seed, yeah, you get a little bit of an advantage because you get to play the number 8 seed. But I still don't see it being that big of an advantage once you get past the first round.
No.
Because once you get past the first round, then you're starting to play teams who are actually going to try, unlike what they do in the regular season.
Well, and like if the playoffs started right now, the Jazz would be playing the Warriors. Is that really a team you want to play in the first round?
Right. That's definitely true for that. And then over in the East, to talk about the East a little bit, the 76ers kind of making a push as well, kind of, letting the Bucks know that, hey, we're here too, because the Bucks have been dominating the East for the past 2 years. 76ers got a couple people during the offseason that, have won titles and have won with the Lakers or won with the Raptors. Excuse me. And I think it's turned the team around completely. I think if Embiid can stay healthy, the 76ers are going to be kind of someone to mess with and try to, prove that the Nets, can't just get a big three and call it good and try to win. Because right now the 76ers are in first place at 20-10. The Nets are at 19-12, and the Bucks are at 17-13. So, and look at my Chicago Bulls, one game behind the 8th spot. maybe my
7 games out of first.
Maybe my Bulls can make the playoffs, get in as an 8 seed, get stomped by whoever the number 1 seed will be.
What's surprising to me though is the Heat that were in the finals last year are 12-17 this year.
Yep, they are. Yep.
Like they were like what?
It is a long season though. I mean, NBA has a lot of games.
Didn't they cut it down this year to only 72 games instead of 82? Or are they doing the full 82?
I can't remember. I think they did cut it down. I think it is a shorter season. So we'll have to see with that, but I don't think cutting it down by 10 games is really going to make that big of a difference. By that point, the teams that are in the spots that they're in are the teams that need to be there. I don't think 10 more games would help determine a difference other than, maybe the 7th or 8th seed or, 8th or 9th seed or whatever. Those are the only teams that really can benefit from having extra games. The top tier teams, providing extra games is not going to do anything for them. So
here I've got a funny NBA question for you. How do you feel about Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert getting snubbed for the All-Star game?
Have they already voted for the All-Stars?
They've got the starters.
They got the starters? Wow.
Yeah, they're gonna announce the reserves like later this week.
Wow. That's like I don't understand the disrespect for that. Like that just makes no sense to me. I mean, but isn't it voted by the fans?
Yeah.
So I don't understand how the fans aren't voting for them. That's like Gobert like not getting recognition for being voted as defensive player of the year.
4 times.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's just like, but yeah, he's not going to be on the All-Star team. They're the number 1 team in the NBA right now, and their top 2 people aren't going to make the All-Star team. Like that just boggles my mind. Like that's like unheard of. Like if it was any other team, if it was like the Lakers and LeBron got snubbed and Anthony Davis, like people would be losing their minds and going crazy. Especially if they were like the number one team. So in the whole NBA, they have the best record. So yeah, that makes no sense to me.
So that's actually one thing where I was pretty happy. Charles Barkley came out and was like, hold on one second. Oh, they actually already announced the reserves. But Charles Barkley came out and goes, "This is a travesty. How can you have the best player on the number one team in the NBA not be a starter in the All-Star game?"
Yeah.
Like how does that work? Like Charles Barkley called it out. So the starters for the Western Conference are Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, I mean, some
That
of
is
those
a
names I can
popularity
understand
contest.
why, but because Luka, could potentially win the MVP, this year, but this still doesn't make any sense. I don't know why they would have Kawhi Leonard in there over, Donovan Mitchell.
Right? Or even Steph Curry. Like Steph Curry's good, I get it. But the Warriors are the number 8 team. And Steph Curry got the starting spot over Donovan Mitchell. Like Donovan Mitchell actually got in. So they announced the reserves. So the reserves are Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Davis, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley. So the Jazz got 3 people. Chris Paul. And they said the biggest snubs were Devin Booker, DeMar DeRozan, De'Aaron Fox, which De'Aaron Fox should have been there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Brandon Ingram, and Zion Williamson. All of them got snubbed.
Gosh.
Wow. I think De'Aaron Fox should have been in over Chris Paul easily. And I'm just going to say it, like Zion Williamson should have been in there over Anthony Davis. Because Anthony Davis hasn't really done much this year.
Yeah, and he's been injured. He's been missing games, hasn't he?
Yeah. So Zion Williamson should be in there over Anthony Davis. This is what I hate about like the All-Star games being popularity contests. It's fans voted. It's like, no, you need to go off of the stats. You need to go off of who the best player on the best teams are. That's who should be in the All-Star games.
Yeah, the players from like the top 3 teams or top 4 teams or whatever. Yeah, it should be a combination of those players. The All-Star game, I don't even think should be played. I think it should just be you made the All-Star team and leave it at that, because the players don't even care about playing in the All-Star game anymore. I mean, I can't remember if they had it last year or not with everything with COVID, but it's just like the score gets up to like 200 because there's like no defense. Like they just sit there and let each other slam dunk on each other, and there's let them shoot it without contesting it. Like there's no defense whatsoever because they don't care. They don't want to get hurt, or they don't want anything to happen to them while they're playing the All-Star game.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't watched the All-Star game since the Tracy McGrady backboard shot. That was a long time ago. But yeah. I watched the other stuff. Like I love watching the skills challenge, the 3-point contest, and the slam dunk contest. Like slam dunk contest has got kind of boring because what else are they gonna do? Like it was so bad. Donovan Mitchell, when he won, like yeah, he was a showman, but he did 2 of his dunks were just repeats of other people's dunks that have won in the past.
Yeah. Well, it's like how many people can you jump over? How many things can you jump over? Type of thing. Everyone always just tries to jump over stuff. I know someone like jumped over a car like a couple of years ago, and everyone like lost their minds. So
yeah, that was the Zach LaVine and dude from Orlando. Oh my God, why am I brain farting on his name?
Because he's from Orlando.
Aaron Gordon. So it was Gordon and Zach LaVine, their dunk contest. Like that was probably one of the most epic dunk contests I've ever seen, because it was just both of them were doing crazy stuff and trying to compete. Like they had one of the guys was doing he jumped over a mascot, and the mascot was on one of like the little wheel things that you roll back and forth that Mike Tyson fell off and said he broke his back.
Oh, yeah, the hoverboards or whatever.
Yeah. So the mascot was on that and spinning around with the ball and like doing this with the ball, and he jumped over him under both legs and dunked it. Like that was a legit dunk. It was cool to watch. But then like just lately, dunk contest isn't fun. I love watching the 3-point contest because that's an actual like skill. Being able to shoot a 3-pointer and being able to shoot 30 of them in 60 seconds while running around, like, yeah, that's a skill.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, I remember back when the Warriors were, the top team and no one could dethrone them. They did a Sports Center special with Klay Thompson, and he was shooting threes in the dark. Like he couldn't see, but he was shooting threes in the dark, and he made like 9 out of 10 of them. And it was just like, that's just how automatic he is, that he couldn't even see the hoop, and he knew how to do his shot and how far and everything, that he made 9 out of 10 of them in the dark. Like 3-pointers, not even regular shots, 3-pointers. Like that was nuts.
That's insane.
So yeah, we'll keep everyone posted on the NBA and what's going on with that, because that's going to be our main focal point for right now, with everything going on in the off season. One thing we'll bring up with baseball, because we posted about it on the Sports Harder podcast page on Facebook. The Padres agreed to a deal with Fernando Tatis Jr. He's got a 14-year, $340 million extension. So he's going to be with the Padres for the next 14 years. I was kind of surprised, just because the Padres aren't that good of a team and not that popular. So I'm surprised they like paid someone like that kind of money. I know that he's like on the cover of MLB The Show, the video game. They have him on the cover, and he's like the main guy. Why the Padres didn't do anything last year? I mean, I can see, yeah, he's like a good player. It's almost like, Mike Trout. Mike Trout's so popular, and he gets paid a lot of money, and he's on the cover of different things, but he plays for the Angels, who aren't good. That's one thing with baseball I don't really understand as much. They focus on these individual players on teams that are bad sometimes, just because they're still good on their team. It's kind of like Deshaun Watson. He was on a crappy team, but he had great numbers, So I just don't understand why teams like that win the World Series, or teams that go farther in the playoffs, or teams that have more historic heritage, maybe like the Yankees or the Red Sox or something like that, how they're not getting more publicity or getting their players on video game covers. I don't understand how a Dodgers player didn't make the cover of MLB The Show when they just won the World Series last year. So, I mean, I don't know how you kind of feel about, the dynamics of baseball and how how you feel about, I guess, what I just said, or what comments you have about that.
Well, I want to touch on Fernando Tatis really quick. They signed him to it was 13 or 14 years, right?
14, yeah.
14 years. He was a rookie last year.
Oh, wow. That was his first year, was last year?
His MLB debut was March 28th, 2019. So, no, it was his second year. I apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah, second year player, and they handed him 14 years, $340 million. Like, they just locked him up for the remainder of his career.
Well, yeah, basically.
Like, I think that is probably one of the smartest moves any baseball team has ever made.
Oh, okay.
Like, you just locked a young player up. The dude is 22 years old. You just locked him up for the remainder of his career. You guaranteed he's going to play for your team for the remainder of his career. Nope, you're not going to go play for the Yankees. You're not going to go play for the Red Sox. You're going to play for us because we love you and we're going to keep you here and we're going to build our team around you. That's really what they just told him. I think that is amazing in this day and age where players are so, like, what's the right word? Players and teams, I'm trying to think of the right word. So
blanking on the word.
Yeah, brain fart. Basically, there's no
loyalty
on either side. That's not the right word that I'm looking for, but there's no loyalty on either side. It's just, okay, you play for me until you're doing crappy, and then I'm going to trade you off to somebody else. Or the players are like, well, I don't want to be here because you're not building around me, so I'm out. Like Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I don't like what you guys are doing, so I'm out. Trade me, get rid of me. There's no loyalty to the teams anymore. There hasn't been for probably a good 40 years. It's been about 40 years of this whole back and forth. But before that, teams and players were loyal to their team. They were loyal to where they were playing. And I like to see that come back. It'd be boring if the same damn team won every year. It's not fun. You want to see other teams up and coming, but that's the point of the drafts. That's the point of being able to pick up younger players out of the draft. It's help build your team back up, help get them back to that level, but have some loyalty. So, like Patrick Mahomes signing 10 years, as much as I hate that he's going to be a Chief for 10 years, I have a lot of respect for the fact that he signed 10 years and the Chiefs actually offered 10 years. Like, that shows loyalty between those two. It's amazing to me. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
Now, why the Dodgers weren't on the cover of MLB The Show 21, honestly, the biggest joke in the entire thing, we even cracked a joke about it, that between Clayton Kershaw and Mookie Betts, those two players made more money than the entire Atlanta Braves roster.
No, the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, yeah, it was a Tampa Bay Rays. That's who it was. It was the Tampa Bay Rays. They made more money than the Tampa Bay Rays' entire roster.
Yep.
The teams like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, they're the perennial teams. They're the big name, big market teams. The problem is they've all got that stigma that they buy their championships because they'll pay the luxury tax to have all of these big name players so that they can win the championship. The Dodgers have paid and they finally won. Took them long enough, but
after getting there how many times?
Right, and just getting blown out. Now, That's been the problem. Then you have a team like the Padres who came up out of nowhere, made the playoffs, and they were like, who the hell is this? Like, these guys have always been a perennial losing team. They've always been the team that we beat up on. And now you're saying you're in the playoffs? Like, and now you're giving a dude 14 years, $340 million. Like, yeah, Fernando Tatis was the best player in the league last year, like, by far. He was the best player in the entire MLB last year. So the Padres giving him that extension and him being on the cover of MLB The Show is showing, hey, we can appreciate youngsters. We can appreciate the best player in the league. We can appreciate who's going to step up and actually be a good face for the MLB. Unlike the NBA with Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the NBA kind of pushed Donovan Mitchell when he first started coming out, and was basically carrying the Jazz at first. Like when they first made the playoffs with him on the team as a rookie, like he was carrying the team, and he had a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and I don't think he could really handle it. And I think this year has been great because it's not all on him. He has these other pieces around him that's, really helping him out and stepping up. So I think sometimes putting all that publicity and all that, support into one guy, making him the face of your franchise, sometimes it puts a lot of pressure on guys. It's like what I said with that 30 for 30 with Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa when they were competing for the home run record. And Mark McGwire said it was just killing him. He couldn't take all the pressure from it. And, it was detrimental to his health. But then, there was people like Sammy Sosa who came up from nothing, poor boy from Puerto Rico that loved every minute of it. He loved the
Dominican
publicity.
Republic.
Oh, sorry. So, he loved every second of it and loved the spotlight, so but yeah, I like what you said with that it's awesome to see a team put some loyalty and put forth the effort to show loyalty. I just hope that a team like the Padres, like you said, can build around him and get other people to help, because I feel like the Angels did that with Mike Trout when they paid him all that money, but then they haven't been able to do anything with him. Yeah, he's been one of the best players. Mike Trout, they say, is a transcendent player in baseball, but he doesn't have any World Series titles. He doesn't have hasn't even like gone to the playoffs, I don't think. So it's just like, they have to give him some help somehow. And so I hope they can do that for this player as well. I have to admit that Fernando Tatis Jr., I don't even really remember him from last year. It might be that I just didn't follow baseball as well as I should have because the Orioles were so terrible. But I don't really remember him all that much. And so that's why I was just surprised to see all of this. I mean, with him getting this big payday, I'm definitely going to pay attention to him more. That's for sure. And pay attention to the Padres more. But the baseball season will be an interesting season because I know they're still talking about how many games they're going to play and different things like that. They're going to keep it a shorter season. Are they going to go back to the full games like they usually do? Different things like that. So we'll keep everyone posted on baseball and obviously different things like that. I thought it was interesting that one of the headlines for baseball was Tim Tebow like retiring. He's not going to play baseball anymore. I was just like, I love how Major League Baseball, that's a headline for them. Oh man.
So just to throw it out there with Fernando Tatis, he got the Silver Slugger Award and the Golden Glove this last year.
Nice.
Like, that doesn't happen. Getting both of those awards.
Yeah.
But Mike Trout, I just want to throw a little correction out there. Mike Trout has been to the playoffs one time.
I was close because I didn't even think it was one time, so it was at least once.
2014, and they got swept in the divisional series.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I love players that are transcendent and they're really good and stuff like that, but I just hate to see their talent wasted on a team that's not going anywhere for them. That's the only thing I hate about it. So,
Right.
But all right, well, I think that about wraps things up for us. I think we'll kind of focus on like hockey and stuff like that next time. We'll get into some more hockey news, and talking about that. What's up?
Oh, I just sniffed.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we'll get into that more next time, talking about that and going over some stuff. It's still a long season as well for hockey, so we have plenty of time to be able to cover more stuff. Let's see, was there anything else that you wanted to cover or go over for other sports or anything? Like I said, since you weren't on the podcast last time, things that have been on your mind.
Earl Thomas still not signed.
It's gonna
be throw it out there.
It's gonna be awesome. I should have done that for the crystal ball. Like, where do you think Earl Thomas is gonna end up, if he's gonna be on a team or not?
Retirement.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Right.
Alrighty. Well, we appreciate everyone. We appreciate the listens and the views on YouTube as always. Appreciate Matt Klein commenting on our Facebook, so we could shout out to him. Keep up with comments not only on social media like Facebook, but on YouTube. We'll comment on those as well. We'll post the second video for this. Go check us out on Facebook at Sports Harder Podcast. Check us out on Instagram at sports_harder_podcast. At Twitter at Sports Harder P, capital S, capital P. You can listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the major podcast areas, all the distributors. Here coming up this week, on the 25th, on my birthday, I'm going to be joining a podcast that invited me to come on and join their podcast. So it'll be fun. It's kind of like a local one. They wanted me to talk about the local teams here in Virginia. So, Washington football team, Wizards, stuff like that. So it'll be fun, and I'll try to post me joining them on their podcast. I know I'm still trying to get some more guests on our show. I feel like it's been fun having people reach out to us and us reach out to them. And we had the Buffalo Nerd on last week, which was really cool. So my brother-in-law Brian that came on. So it's just fun to get different perspectives. Hear other people's thoughts.
I will say that I watched the Buffalo Nerd episode. Sorry, I wasn't in that one. But that was actually a really good episode. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. Like, it's actually a really good episode.
Yeah. And he has a great charity that he does too. So, go and check out his charity and donate. I know we still need to go on and do our donation as a podcast from the little bit of money that we get from Anchor from our commercial at the beginning of the podcast. I think we get like 1 penny for every listen. So rolling in the dough there. I thought someone threw something at you there for a second. I was just like,
no, a headphone just fell out of my ear. I was like, oh shit.
I was just like, who threw something at you? Someone's trying to get your attention.
Right.
But all right. Well, we appreciate everyone, and we will catch you guys next week, same time, same place, same beautiful faces. So until next week, we will catch you guys on the flip side.
Later.
Peace.